Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Podcast. Before we start our podcast, I want to make sure to give you guys some time to like this video and to subscribe to our channel. So, if not, I will feed you to the scrabs. All right, welcome everybody on this episode. What's on the menu? We are having the scrap cakes with Oddworld Soulstorm. Oddworld Soulstorm is a platforming game published and developed by Oddworld inhabitants. It came out on Windows PC, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5. It is a sequel to 2014's Oddworld New and Tasty, and a reimagining of 1998's Oddworld Abe's Exoddus. So again, if you've ever played Oddworld or any of these, the original ones, they were like a 2.5D side-scrolling platforming game. So, and you play as Abe. But this is the new iteration or a reimagining of Abe's Exoddus from back on the original PlayStation. So let's go around and see what everybody thought of Abe's or Oddworld Soulstorm. Patrick, what did you think of this one, man?
What can I say? You know, I enjoy Abe. I enjoy all Abe's previous games. I like the Oddworld games. They're fun. Which is kind of funny because I'm not normally a huge platformer game fan, but I like the Abe's Odyssey, Oddworld, New and Tasty. I like all the Oddworld series games. They're fun because they're not just like platformy. They're not like a typical platformer where you're like dodging creatures coming in and stuff like that, you know. So what I do like is that there's puzzles, there's many different ways to complete a level, and this game adds some new features and functions and things that you can do in the game that you've not been able to do in previous games, which we'll get into. So I actually like it. It looks really good. It plays really well. I have one knock against it that almost made me not play it, but we'll kind of get into that as we go through. I almost just said, absolutely not, we will not be playing this game, but something happened, and we'll get into that. Let's see. Shane, what did you think, man, of this one?
It was Oddworld. They added, new things to it, and like you said, it's beautiful. It's an attractive game, and I know what you're gonna say about almost not playing it. But it is Oddworld. It's got the same tried and true formula with some new things added. Definitely, what makes the Oddworld series playable and good almost every time is its humor. It's always got a wonderful humor about it. I don't think I don't know how to feel about this one, honestly, because like you, Pat, I've played all the Abes. I even played Stranger's Wrath. But I don't know how to feel about this one. I can't say I hate it or anything like that. It's Abe. I mean, that's my biggest feeling. I'll go into a little more detail on it a little bit later, but it's Abe to me. So what about you, Russ? What's your Abe philosophy here?
There's always a really good story for this. I mean, it's got a nice little sci-fi meets, human type of aspect of like freeing the people and stuff like that. But for me, this game it's kind of like parsley on a plate. I could do without it. I don't need to see it. I'm good. I've played enough side scrollers. I'm kind of tired of side scrollers. It's not a terrible game. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just, I mean, whether they put the parsley on the plate or not, it doesn't really matter to me because, and it's kind of how I feel about this game. Whether I played it or I didn't play it, I could have done either way. So I don't have a bad feeling about it. I'm not saying it's a great game. I definitely didn't spend near the time on this game that I have in some previous games that we've reviewed, but it's not terrible, but it's not great. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but that's really all I have to say about it. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's a like Shane said, it's a great looking game. Especially I got it on the PC and I was able to turn some graphics up and it was really nice looking. I'm sure if there was such thing as a PS5, it probably looks great on that too. I don't know. It doesn't exist. So we'll see. But Nick, what about you, man? What was your initial reaction?
Yeah, much like you guys, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this game, but it is Abe's, X's, and I remember playing that game back in the day, and this is kind of a reimagining of that. But they did add some new things, some new features to it, and that's nice that they kind of a reimagining. That's kind of neat, especially if you play the original one. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it overall. It can be a very frustrating game at times, especially because it seems like, I don't know, for some reason, like for me, I played on the PlayStation 4, and it seems like button inputs sometimes would just not happen. I would hit a button like jump or to throw or something like that, and it seems like they would just stand there like, huh? It's just like, no, do it. And then I die, because I need that quick reaction. And this game doesn't really give you that. It really doesn't give you that quick reaction. I mean, it is supposed to be kind of a slow, coast through levels and things like that. But there are times where hectic things happen, and you got to be quick and have quick responses. And this game kind of lacks in that quick response category. But otherwise, besides the frustrations, there was also something that happened to me, which I almost put it down and said, nope, I'm done. But we can talk about that in a minute. But overall, though, I think it's a pretty fun game, and I'm enjoying it so far. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I thought. Patrick, what was that issue that you ran into?
So, Sony almost put a complete end to me ever wanting to play this game, and no fault of Oddworld's, but it was all a Sony thing because your options were PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, or PC. And I'm like, okay, cool. I haven't played my PlayStation 4 in a while. I'm going to get this on PlayStation 4. Well, come to find out that Sony pulled a bonehead move, or douchebag as Sony is, pulled a Sony douchebag mode and basically said, hey, if you got a PlayStation 5 and you have PlayStation Plus, it's Plus. I can't remember if it's Plus or now. They keep changing the damn name of it. But basically, if you got that, you get to play it for free. But you know what? Screw you if you got a PlayStation 4 still. You need to pay for it. So I told Sony to shove it up sideways and decided that I got it on PC. I almost did, and I was so mad about that Sony has got this elitism thing going. I don't know what it is, but the majority of people can't get a PlayStation 5 right now. And so you're penalizing those players that can't get one of those yet, but want one by saying, hey, you have to pay for this unless you have a PlayStation 5. So I almost was so mad at that whole annoyance that I didn't get the game. It's not the game's fault. And so, eventually I'm like, well, Sony's not getting any more of my money. So I canceled my subscription plan to PlayStation because of it. Because if they don't want to give me the same games that the PlayStation 5 players get for free, because the game is on both systems, then they're not getting any more of my money right now. And so I gave my money to the Epic Store so I can get it on the Epic Store. They deserve my money more than Sony does at this point because Sony's being a bunch of douchebags. So.
Yeah, Sony's really good about just being a-holes to their customers. They truly are. The thing they did with this was it was idiotic. It was more, and it was just plain screw you to their fan base. Because I mean they just put out a thing saying PlayStation 5 has outsold every console, blah blah blah. Yeah, it sold to scalpers. You know this. Don't brag about feeding these people. That's just bullcrap. Be honest. You're selling them to scalpers is who you're selling them to. And then they do crap like this. And, I'm not a big Sony fan because of their business practices after the PlayStation 3. But, this is the kind of crap that, keeps me not liking them. I mean, I love their first party games. Don't get me wrong, but Sony will never be my main system because of their business practices. Don't get me wrong. Microsoft, Nintendo, they've done some shady crap, but this, not as consistent as Sony.
Right.
But,
so
right
now Sony's on the
game,
crap list.
Yeah.
Sony's on the crap list, and they lost my monthly subscription because of it. And I've been a subscription member for Plus for over a year now, and so they've lost my business now because of something so stupid. And it makes no sense. Why is it not free on the PlayStation 4, but it is on the 5? What's the reasoning behind that?
I think to push sales, in my opinion.
But they can't because they're sold out. They can't push sales. So
they can. You can buy it from the scalpers that they sell to.
Yeah, and then we can line Sony's pockets and then line the scalpers' pockets. No thanks.
Yep.
So I almost didn't want to get this game, and I was so mad when I found out because all I remember was just hearing it's going to be on Plus in April, and I'm like, okay, cool, I can wait. I don't have to buy it. I'll get it as part of my Plus subscription. So as soon as I found out I couldn't do that, I went ahead and canceled my Plus subscription and went and bought it on Epic and said Sony's not getting any more of my money, and I will not be buying another PlayStation game until I get a PS5. So they lost all the game sales for me because of their bad business practice. And I hope others will follow suit and not do that because it makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is if more people don't do these kind of things and stand up, which, really, I don't know how many people are standing up to Sony for this crap because they are a popular system. And I understand why, but their business practices are garbage.
It's of no fault of my own or anybody else's in here that we can't get a PlayStation 5. If those PlayStation 5s available right now, I guarantee you all four of us would have one right now. But we can't. So on to the game. Sony kind of did a little crapshoot on that. We can kind of talk about the new features that they've added. They've added in some new features to the game that weren't in any of the previous Abe ones. What more fun can you have than being the savior of I always butcher the name of the Mudkins, being the savior of those guys as a slave labor as that you're a janitor. You're the janitor and you're saving the world. You're saving your fellow Mudkins, So it's a great game. They've added quite a few things to it, They've added looting into the game and crafting in the game, which is new. And it works pretty well. I'm in agreement with Nick that I thought a lot of the things were my controller, and now I'm thinking maybe they're not, because I played it on PC and I have my Xbox Elite controller Bluetooth in, and I just thought, how Bluetooth can artifact and crap stop working, so I just figured that was my controller and Bluetooth being a pain in the butt because it's not a plugged-in controller. But it sounds like I'm not the only one that had some controller-related issues.
I was plugged in, Patrick, and I had the same issues.
Pat. Yeah. See, I had it on the PlayStation. I had no issues with that, but, I don't know why. Maybe I just didn't notice it like you guys. So, but it ran fine for me. So sucks that you guys had issues with the controllers.
My main issues was just with timing, as Nick had said.
Yeah, that's the main issues I ran into, was just a bunch of timing. There was areas where I wanted, fighting the slugs or slogs or whatever they call them, the bad guys, the main enemies of the game, which are the kind of humanoid defenders of Rapture Farms, right? Alien-looking, octopus-looking dudes or whatever. I don't know what they are, but they got the little things coming out of their mouth. But just like trying to do something quickly, because they can be quick on the draw when they shoot, but you could quickly get in and do something like throw down. You get stuff that you can throw, and you can throw like these stun IEDs that you can throw out there and stun them. And if you're able to and quick enough, you can get one down and far enough away from them that they'll run into it without shooting you, and then you can go over there and pickpocket or tie them up or whatever. So I just found that in certain circumstances, it seemed like my controller just wasn't being responsive with doing that stuff. So, but for the most part, it worked out okay.
Well, all right. Well, yeah, I think it's the Sligs you were talking about, Nick. Is that what they were? The Sligs, the little bad guys, the cartel henchmen.
Yeah, those guys.
Yep. Did you have issues? So when I was talking about timing issues on the controller, did you have issues? My biggest issue was, I swear to God, I hit those mines when they were green. I swear. The slap mines. Oh my God, that was so annoying. I'd be like, okay, it's quick green, red, then green for a little while, and I'd be like, red, green, and his hand's on it, it's green. I'm blowing up, and I'm like, what's going on here? Those things were my worst enemy in this game. Out of anything was the slap mines, the little mines that you can slap to disable.
I think the worst thing for me about the game, even with the added, items and whatnot with that, it just felt Abe. It didn't feel like much of a change to me. I mean, that sucks, but the humor is what keeps me going because, the Oddworld series has always been one of the funniest things you can play. I mean, if you're looking for just something to play through and laugh, Oddworld, you can't beat it. But I don't know. It just didn't feel like any kind of a jump or a leap or a big change, even with the items and crafting and whatnot. But it's still playable just for that humor, though. That's why I got it on the PlayStation, because my son wants to play it. So I got it on that so he could play it, because I keep that one downstairs. Honestly, I wish I'd have got it on the PC, but I don't like the kids on my computer because I'll have God knows what wrong with it.
My biggest change with this game was like other side scrollers, like kind of like Nick was saying, the pace of it. Like I would get going, and like other side scrollers, you'd time and time and time and time. Well, then in Abe, I noticed that there's not necessarily a rush through moment. Sometimes it's like you need to pause, you need to hold, you need to pause, you need to hold. And I think that's probably where my biggest frustration came, is that I'm so used to old other side scrollers that I need to get through this level. I need to bust through it. And then there's a part where it almost always I'm being knocked off, or I'm in hit, or I'm getting shot or something like that. So I think that was the biggest adjustment for me, especially early on in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Abe is definitely a slow burner game. It's not designed to be run and gun type game or running slide scroller. It has its moments, like firebomb scenes, stuff like that, or running away from fire and stuff like that. It has its moments, but it is mostly just to take your time, look at the situation scenario, because it is a side scrolling game and lets you see the whole scenario. So you just got to look at the scenario and go, okay, how can I attempt this one? And there's many ways to attempt it. That's kind of what I like too, because the game has the Quarma. They kind of did a little bit of change to the Quarma system. Now it only tracks like the ones that you've saved. It counts the ones that have been rescued against casualties now. So they reworked that a little bit. So yeah, I mean it's a slow burner game. It's not one of those ones where you're just going to rush through the side scrolling. So it's definitely going to be one of those ones I want to finish it. The levels are pretty big. And have lots of hidden secrets and lots of things like that. I've yet to feel like I'm being pushed to just fully explore everything and collect a bunch of crappy, useless collectibles, but I do find myself going to different corners and looking for getting all the barrels and breaking all the crap and finding that stuff in it so far.
Yeah, so the issues I had with some of the issues I ran into with this game is the controller, and there were times where I would find myself where you can throw these mines out that can stun the slugs or whatever they call themselves. And you would find times where, they are pretty quick on the draw, where they will shoot and fire at you pretty quickly. But you would find sometimes that you could kind of pull them in and throw a mine down, like if you're in a tight area, and hit them with the mine before they are able to shoot you. And I found that, and sometimes even that, or with jumping, I would hit the X button to jump, or hit the triggers to throw my mines or whatever, and it's just like Abe would not do it. I also found another issue that I came across as well is some ledges. It seemed like when you jump toward the edge of the ledge, Abe should grab the ledge. And for some reason, some ledges, you would jump toward it and he wouldn't grab them, and you'd fall and die. And other times, that same ledge, you do the same move and he would grab them. So it's just very kind of, off and on depending on the situation. But I think the biggest issue that I found with it is you have the checkpoints throughout the level. So throughout the level, you find these little markers, and they're checkpoints. In this game, you can double jump. So there's one area, if you guys made it and it's not that far in, where you made it to the blimp's trying to shoot you down and stuff. There's one area where you go across, and there's a bunch of slogs and everything like that. And at the top, there's a checkpoint, and at the bottom left, there's a checkpoint. Well, what happened to me is I had jumped and missed my jump. Well, if you don't double jump, if you wait, because it's a really far fall, but towards the end, if you jump again, you can land. Well, I did, and I hit the second checkpoint. But what happened was I died because there's like 3 or 4 guys down there. And when it respawns me, the 3 or 4 guys are right next to the checkpoint and just shoot me every time. So I had to restart that entire level. Again, that almost made me quit and say, nope, I'm done. I did for a minute, but I came back like maybe an hour later. I got through the level and made it further into the game, but that really just, because it's like, it would have been fine if I could just go back to the previous checkpoint, if I could just pick checkpoints that I've already done, but I didn't see an option to do that. All you could do is either restart the checkpoint you already made or restart the level. So that really sucked.
That is a killer for me. I think you guys all know about the Fallout 2 glitch I had where I don't know what happened exactly. As soon as I walk into the door of this building, it was like a bar. I walk in, everybody starts shooting at me. And I die. It would respawn me right as I'm walking through the door. So I was constantly being killed. And that was it. Never played that Fallout again.
Right. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's some issues with control all around. I mean, like I said, I had issues where I couldn't get the timing down to get rid of the mines and stuff like that. And yeah, sometimes, and like I said, I just attribute all those to me playing on a controller hooked into the computer Bluetooth, because for whatever reason, my computer or any computer I've ever had doesn't like Bluetooth controllers or Bluetooth headphones. There's always artifacting and weird issues that happen where it just disconnects for a second and reconnects. So, I guess, yeah, that's something that'll be fixed obviously down the road. If it is really an issue or it's a controller issue, they won't fix it because they can't fix that. They added some new mechanics to this game. We talked about like looting and crafting. Crafting is kind of interesting. You can now craft the mines and stuff like that. You can craft things, and you can also give materials to the companions later on in the game. When you get companions, you can give them like the vials for water and the explosive stuff and all that stuff in mines, and set them to you could toggle them between aggressive and passive on what they'll do. So, I mean, they've added quite a few new things, and they've reworked the karma system a little bit in the game. I found this game pretty enjoyable. If you like Oddworld games, I think you'll like this one. I think it looks really good, what they've done to it. It looks pretty. It plays really well for a side-scrolling game. Like I said, I'm not really a huge side-scrolling fan, but usually when it's a slow burner one like these are, I'm a fan. I'm not a fan of the run-and-gun, fast-moving ones. It's not for me anymore. But I'm not sure if we mentioned this, but this one's like Nick said in the beginning that this was a sequel to the New and Tasty. I mean, it's like right after that happens, you're trying to lemming the Mudkins off the planet. Basically, they're just going to run in a direction, and you have to keep them from getting themselves killed. So they're a bunch of lemmings. You're trying to help them get off the planet. Help them get away and get to the I'm blanking on the name, but there's like a haven for their species, and you're trying to get them to that haven. So it's definitely interesting in lots of ways to approach it. I think they get you most of the way through the second area before you even get into that whole phase of having to get the Mudkins, protect them while they're running and stuff like that. So it gives you quite a bit of a tutorial. I think the levels are pretty huge. There's lots of little secret hidden areas in there and places to dig in and find secrets. If you like that type of game, it's puzzly, it's stealthy, it's a little bit of everything, I think it's got something for everybody that likes side scrollers.
I will agree, for a side scroller / game of this nature, it is a lot bigger than a lot of the games that we played in previous iterations, or whatever you want to call it, different games like this. So that is nice, and it does have some depth to it with the crafting and with the story. I mean, of course, Abe's story is always a lot of fun too. So that I will give positive reflection on. But like I said, it's just so much of the same kind of thing we've been playing, or I'm just ready for something different. That's why I'm calling it Parsley.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with everybody. This is definitely one of those games, though, that they've remade, remastered, whatever you want to call it, done right. They did things different. They kept some of the familiar, but they really tried to do better, and that's great. But it still, to me, just has that same feel. And The humor is what always probably kept me going in these, but yeah, you're definitely right about the slower pace than you would get for like Pandemonium or some game like that, side scroller. But overall, I think the game. I think if you're new to a world, odd world of any kind, definitely jump in and try it. You may just be really surprised how much you enjoy it. Enjoy the humor, then backtrack, go find some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And, if you are new, I would say start with New and Tasty, especially if you want to follow the story. The story is pretty good. And New and Tasty is pretty much a reimagining of the first Abe's Odyssey. So it's just newer, just like this one is. So if you want to follow kind of like the storyline and everything, because this is the just like in with Odyssey and the original and Exoddus, it was a straight sequel to its story and everything to the first game. So returning characters and kind of what you're doing and the evil corporation at Rapture Farms and all the enemies and various things like that. Of course, they introduce new mechanics and new enemies and stuff like that, but you kind of get the idea by playing the original and then going into this. So if you are new to it, I would say start with that one if you want to kind of follow along with that whole storyline. But otherwise, I think you'll have fun with this game. It's on its own. It can stand on its own. You don't have to necessarily play the first one to play this. So either way, it's a great game. It's a fun game. I enjoyed it, and I didn't complete it, but I got pretty far into it, and I plan on probably continuing to play through it and finish it up as well. So how far did you guys all get in this game? Do you know?
I was right at 2.5, maybe.
What place is that?
I didn't get as much time as I wanted.
I got to Fat Station. That's where I was at.
I didn't get there. I don't even sound remotely familiar. I know I got to the blimp.
All right. Pat, where'd you get?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how far it is after that.
I did not get to that station, and I thought I put quite a few hours into it. So
that's where the train's at. At the beginning. So this isn't a spoiler. At the beginning, the very first cutscene, Abe or the Madakans are on the train, and then it says, it cuts back and says a few weeks later, couple days later, or something like that, or earlier. I mean. And so this is kind of
12 hours earlier.
Yeah, so this kind of lead up to why they're on the train and what's going on there. So you figure out how Abe got on the train because you see Abe on the train in the cutscene. So I'm at the station where the train's at. That's as far as I got to. So I hadn't made it to the train quite yet.
So is that the hijack
or
level?
Onto the train.
Like 7? What was that? 7 you said? Or was that like the because it was before the flashback one, right?
What was that? What would you say? I'm sorry.
Did you get to the... It was the hijack level, or was it the Fat Station?
Fat Station.
One?
That's where I got it. Yeah, Fat Station.
Okay. Yeah, I only got to the Sorrow Valley one.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, there's only like 12 levels. I think there's multiple. There's 2 endings. There's a good ending and a bad level ending, depending on your quorum and how many of your mudkins you save, how many lemmings you save. So if you like herding lemmings and protecting the lemmings, you'll probably like this game. Well, cool. Anybody got anything else they want? I mean, yeah, we mentioned without going into spoilers. If you want to learn the story, we can't really talk about what the evil corporation scheme is that causes Abe the janitor to destroy the factory and all that stuff, or else it spoils the stories for you and stuff like that. So, it's a side scrolling, like Nick said, 2.5D side scrolling game. You play Abe, a janitor. And you basically just go around trying to herd the lemmings to safety without getting them killed by the henchmen and terrain, because they'll get crushed by things. They'll run off. They'll run into stuff they're not supposed to. So, it's all about, it kind of reminds me of the Lemmings game from back in the day, the old protect the lemmings or run the lemmings off the ledge type thing. So decent game. I paid full price for it because I couldn't get it for free. I'm not quite sure it was worth the money that it's at, but I think it's a $30 game in my opinion.
I would agree with 30. I think 30 is probably a nice nominal price for that game. And you can pick up New and Tasty, I think, for $10 to $15 in most areas right now. And definitely
Cool. Russ, what
I
about
feel
you?
like I feel like it's a $39.99. I think it's a $40 game. I really do. I mean, yes, did I play that much of it right now? No, but I really will come back and visit and try a little bit more. But again, it's just another game that's the same, but it's definitely the graphics, the reimagining and all that, and the story. It's worth $40, I think. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go with 40. I like that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, I enjoyed it and I want to finish it. You know, I want to save the lemmings or as many of them as I can. It's easier to say lemmings than the Mudkins. I always butcher their name. It's Mudkin. Well, I'm not even trying again, but I always butcher their name. So I think anybody who likes the Oddworld style games will love it. If you like 2.5D side scrollers that aren't fast paced and a little more puzzly than anything, I think you'll like this game. Anybody else got any last words, parting words?
No, let us know if you got it, if you liked it, and tell us if you agree with our opinions.
Perfect. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you were on the fence about picking it up, hopefully this helped you make the decision. We'll hope to catch you on the next episode.
See ya.